Welcome to Mind Your Freedom. I'm your host, Adele Anderson, successful businesswoman, now NLP trainer and life freedoms coach. Each week, we're going to explore the power of and give insight into how to achieve your greatest personal freedoms. You're someone who's seeking more, knowing that there is more to life's journey. I find you open, curious, and always looking to expand your awareness. And you're ready to surrender the pain and grow into the person that you know that you are. And it can be great because real life is just like that. We either have an opportunity to grow when life falls apart, even at the times when it threatens our very existence, makes us question life, even who we are. If you need that one-on-one support, go to lifecoachadele.com. Check in with me there, or simply stay tuned. Each weekly episode offers those real life stories, filled with the pain, the vulnerable truths, the laughs, aha moments, and the takeaway gems. Get ready to access freedom experts from all over the world. So thank you for joining me today. Now let's get started. Thank you for joining me today. Adele Anderson here, and I'm doing Set Yourself Free 2, which is the second layer of our psychological constitution, which is love and belonging aspect of our psyche. And these are the needs of both our ego, but also our soul as we move towards mastering the greatest potential that we have inside of us. And that requires us to satisfy these human psychological needs, the second layer being love and belonging. When we've grown up in a situation where maybe love has been used as a tool of conformment, love taken away, love given, then maybe we might have issues with this. We may feel unlovable. We may feel that we're unable to give love. We maybe feel that we are not able to fully explore relationships with others, whether they're intimate, on a work, or just a personal level. So these are the struggles that some of us face when we have a deficiency, which just means that our need wasn't satisfied. And we have wounds, whether they're intentional or not, that could bring these feelings of lack of love, or that we do not belong to a certain tribe as we evolve. So this is pretty cool because it's part of our consciousness. And I want to sort of engage in a metaphor that our consciousness is like a full glass of water. And whenever we have a deficiency, something that's not fully satisfied within us, it's like the glass of water becomes less. So pretty soon, we have very little water in our glass. And we can also think about how we could refill and refresh that glass of water through mastery, but also through conscious intention of learning about ourselves and how we can overcome these wounds that happened earlier in our lives. How else our glass gets diminished is when we feel deficiencies within these particular parts of our lives, and we have moments when we go through a relationship loss and we feel that we're at fault somehow. So we've put blame or judgment on ourselves or on others that has brought this feeling into our mind and into our body. It makes us feel a certain way. Once a feeling has been initiated, then that creates another cascading effect within our mind. So for example, if the feeling was, I don't feel loved, then our memory will search through a massive amount of life experiences and match it up to other events in our lives, other times in our lives when we felt that we weren't lovable. And then it will choose the event that is prominent within our mind, and we will react from that particular age of the wound. So let me repeat that. So we react from the age that we were wounded the deepest. So this is when we surprise ourselves. Sometimes we act like we're a 7-year-old having a tantrum. And that's exactly what we are. We are our emotional maturity at the time that we were wounded the deepest. And the cycle continues. It's called fractional patterning. So every time that an emotion is engaged, a process will happen, unless we stop the cycle. Another way to explain it is that quite often there is an error in our perception. So for example, if we have a worry, quite often we worry about the future, we worry about the past. So if something around love and belonging has brought up worrying, then we drop into the cycle of worrying. And we worry about everything. And truthfully, 97% of the things that we worry about never happen. It's simply an error in perception that often gets linked to caring. And caring and worrying are two completely different things. But this is how our mind works. It links things together. But quite often, I think it's like 70% of the time, it can be wrong. So we need to correct these improper links, but also to understand that we do have control over this fractional pattern that occurs when we have a life event that has brought an emotion up from the past. So how do we overcome it? And how do we install the feeling of being loved by the people that we interact with every day and that we belong? In one of the processes that I do that's called timeline, which I find the most amazing process at all, we go back into negative events and we find the positive takeaway. And why is that important? Well, we know through mind science, through NLP, that by changing the physiology around the event, we can actually create a disconnection in the mind, kind of like dissolving that neural pathway. There's many ways that we do it in NLP, but in timeline, it's about going back, looking at the events post, during, and pre-event, and asking specific questions about how that looks inside the mind. For example, when you look at an event after it's already occurred, we have the knowledge of what's happened, but we also come away with some wisdom. In some ways, we know intrinsically that we survived it no matter how difficult it was, even if it was really unpleasant or even worse, something that you'd never wish on yourself or anyone else. Then we go back and we look at the event as if it's currently happening. You're watching your younger self in that event, already knowing, of course, consciously that you've survived, that you've come through it. And then the third one is we go prior to the event and ask what it looks like within your mind prior to the event ever taking place. And this is, of course, a philosophical look. And logically within the mind, the process has not happened. The event has not taken place yet. So, of course, it cannot not have occurred, and neither could the feelings actually be there. And this is significant. From here, we can move forward. We're manipulating the mind by using its own processes for our gain. But as I mentioned before, it's about changing the physiology around the event. So we ask, what positive thing did you learn during this event? What do you know now that you didn't know then? And there's always amazing realizations that come out of that. What empowerment that you had, that maybe you were resilient, that you were brave, that you were courageous. Whatever the positive takeaway was, it changes the physiology, which means it changes the chemical process that is happening in your body at this moment as you're recalling the negative event. So therefore, the original event has been changed dramatically by removing the negative physiology that you experienced then and replacing it with the positive physiology you gained by thinking about the takeaway. And this is key. We're changing everything. The next process that we would like to engage in is memories about when you felt loved at the deepest core of your being and where you really knew that you belonged to your tribe. And we can do this again in a different type of exercise where we can go back and we can actually bring these memories to the forefront of your mind. We realize now that once we bring an emotion forward in thinking, it stays in our neocortex for about 42 days. And during this period of time, we have the ability to work with it. We can manipulate it any way that we want for our own gain. So this is key. We already know that we have the ability to do this. So we do. And then from today forward, we can start to have building blocks. We can surround ourselves with like-minded people. We can create a template for what makes us feel good. Think about things that bring you joy naturally just by thinking about them. Or have your favorite places close at hand in your mind so that you can source them immediately. We can create anchors around this type of thinking so that, for example, if you think about someone who wears a chain around their neck, and sometimes there's a religious symbol that's attached to that, and quite often you will see people hold that religious symbol in the palm of their hand. Why? Because it's been anchored with a certain emotion, and when they grasp that object, they feel a certain way. So we can create our own based on love and belonging. How else can we manage? Well, we can practice mindfulness. It's a key element to any emotional mastery. And here's how you do it. Imagine finding a comfortable place to sit and relax where you're not going to be disturbed for the period of time that you want to practice mindfulness. And if you're just beginning, a few minutes a day is fine. So, sitting quietly in a quiet room, you're going to bring your attention into your mind and then focus on the sound of your breath. You can concentrate on the difference of the temperature of the air coming in through your nose or the temperature difference of the air leaving your mouth. You may feel your chest cavity rise and fall. You may feel your shoulders rise and fall. So bring these into focus as you concentrate on your breath. And as you feel your mind wander out into the room, listening to things that you hear, maybe a fridge just turned on, or you can hear a dog or a child walking in another room, simply acknowledge that you've heard that and then pull your attention back towards your breath. 5 breaths in and 5 breaths out. And repeat that cycle as many times as you can without thinking about anything else other than listening and feeling the air enter and leave your body. But you're probably wondering, how does this help you become? But you're probably wondering, how does this make me feel loved? How does this make me feel like I belong to a tribe when I don't feel that way today? Well, the answer is, it is a process. And we begin by creating mindfulness within our body so that we can control the mind slipping away into negative thoughts, negative beliefs that no longer serve us. And so we begin by creating tools and resources for ourselves that control our mind. And then we can add another step. We can add those anchors about positive events and feelings in our lives. We can start to engage with like-minded people who we know do love us and that we do belong within a friendship or a group. As we strengthen our feelings of love and belonging, we intrinsically change the way we feel about ourselves and our ability to belong, to love, to be loved. Thank you for joining me today. I would love to have this conversation in person. You can contact me anytime. Text me 604-885-8236 or send me a quick email, yes@lifecoachadele.com. And today, we begin the process of healing the things within us that hold us back. You do belong. You are loved. Stay with that just for today. Bye now. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today. Now, if you're ready to move beyond where you are today, you're seeking deeper clarity, understanding, or need help moving past the pain, imagine, just for a moment, feeling that freedom, and it is possible. Connect with me, lifecoachadele.com. I would love to support you. You can do that today, or join our Freedom Facebook community. And then remember to head over to iTunes and subscribe. A grateful thank you if you could take the time to do a review so we can grow our higher learning community together. Stay well. Bye now.